Time for All Things Money with David Blain, a discussion about your money, including everything from investing and taxes to real estate. Now, with this week's program from D.L. Blain and Company in New Bern, here's David Blain.
Hello and welcome to All Things Money. I'm David Blain, your host for today's show. And today's show, we're going to be taking a look at some interesting topics, as we do always. We look at investing in traditional stocks, bonds, as well as real estate. Occasionally, we'll take a look at taxation and how you can minimize your taxes. We encourage you to let us know what topics you'd like us to address. Our phone number is 252-633-0107, and our email address is allthingsmoney@dlblain.com. That's allthingsmoney@dlblain.com. And we'd like to hear from our listeners and viewers. Let us know what's on your mind, what topics you'd like us to talk about, or if you have any questions that can be answered over the air, we'd be happy to take your questions by phone or email, and we'll address them on a future show. As well, all of our shows are archived on the internet on my investment firm's website, www.dlblain.com. That's DLBLAIN.com. And if you missed something on the show or you want to listen to something that was previously recorded, just go on the internet there and we have them all archived for you. As I mentioned at the outset, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking a little bit at first about unemployment. It seems to be a hot topic. There's a lot of Americans out there that are out of work. There's a lot of politicians and economists and a lot of theories being thrown around about how to fix this problem. And I'm going to inject another potential solution or another topic of discussion into this quandary. A lot of times the unemployment and especially individuals focus on getting a good job with a big corporation or government or something like that. Well, it's interesting to note that according to the Kauffman Foundation, they've done extensive research on employment and job creation in America. And since 1977, existing companies were actually net job destroyers, losing 1 million net jobs per year. And the point of this study and the point of this segment is that virtually all of the new jobs in America are created by startup companies, new companies, smaller companies. I was listening to a discussion by somebody the other day about how patents actually stifle innovation and job creation in some of the larger companies. By holding all these patents, they really make it very difficult for smaller companies to enter the marketplace, whether it be technology or healthcare or something like that. But what most people can agree on, I mean, the data is unrefutable, is simply that these young startup companies are the ones that are creating all the jobs in America. So if we look at, as I mentioned, existing companies from 1977 to 2005 lost 1 million net jobs per year, or new businesses in their first year added an average of 3 million jobs annually. When you look at, they analyze the data by company age, gross job creation at startups average more than 3 million jobs per year, 4 times as high as any other yearly job group. And existing firms in all years have gross job losses that are larger than gross job gains. And this is in contrast to what maybe a lot of people think. They typically want to get jobs with large corporations, well, which is great, but those jobs are typically filled because of maybe an older employee retiring or something like that, that in aggregate, larger companies are actually cutting back on people either through outsourcing overseas or technological innovation reduces the need for as many employees. Now, one of the things that is extremely interesting about this is you probably heard that a lot of businesses don't last beyond 5 years. And so this study even takes into account that half the startups are out of business in 5 years, but overall, they still create, even with half of the companies going out of business and obviously all those jobs being lost, they still lead the charge in employment creation. The Kauffman Foundation found that as they age from 0 to the year 5, its employment level is 80% of what it was when it began. So, for example, even with all the companies going out of business, that it's still 80% of where they began. In 2000, for example, startups created over 3 million jobs. By 2005, the surviving firms had total employment of 2.4 million, 78% of the number of jobs that existed when those firms started. So you can see that even in 2000, which was the beginning of the previous recession, that even through 2005, that they had retained about 80% of the jobs that they had created. The other thing, I'll talk about innovation. Apple is probably the poster child for tech innovation right now. You've got the iPod, the iTunes, the iPhone, now the iPad. And these are certainly game-changing technologies, but they're really the exception. Even Google, that gets all its is a very ubiquitous search engine. Really, they haven't developed much of anything innovative since their search engine. Now, they've taken a lot of technologies such as Google Maps, Google World, Gmail. They've taken some of these technologies and made them better. They made them user-friendly. They made them free, what have you. But in terms of actual innovation, going from a concept that nobody thought of before to a product, there's just that much innovation going on at the major companies. Just think about what earth-shattering products have IBM, HP, Microsoft, Oracle, Cisco, what earth-shattering products have they come up with in recent times? And I would stipulate that the answer is virtually none. That most of the innovation takes place in the startups. The Facebook, the Twitter, some of these products and services that nobody ever thought of before are innovated at startups. And so when we look at job creation and solving some of the unemployment problems, I would stipulate that we need to focus on the startups, we need to focus on the smaller companies, and not worry so much about the larger companies, that although in aggregate that one company may employ more people, in aggregate the startups create more jobs. We'll finish up on that topic when we come back, but it's time for our first break. For All Things Money, I'm David Blain, and we'll continue our discussion about unemployment after the break.